church is doing. And so when we were taken straight to the Ministry of Defense office, and our first visit to prison, we were escorted by armed officers, both front and back, to get into one of those prisons that we visited. And the prison ministry's director at the union level, guess what? It's ex-prisoner. He was in prison for 5 years. He was a drug cartel leader. He was, sending people with guns onto the street to deal drugs. His people were killing people on the street, and he was arrested into prison. It was in prison that someone gave him Patriarchs and Prophets. How many of you know that book? Oh, thank God. People know that book, Patriarchs and Prophets. If you haven't read it, read it. It gives you good understanding of the Old Testament, starting all the way from Egypt, even before. And when he started reading this book, he wanted more. In fact, he was given this book to read as a punishment. Could you imagine? Yeah. They said, choose. Either you read this book or you go in isolation. And he said, I was standing there holding the book, and I said, well, he said, I will choose the book. So he just chose the book, and then when he started reading it, he couldn't put the book down. The officer who gave him the book wanted to take the book back. He said, no, I haven't finished. And he said he read it twice. And then when they wanted to collect the book, he said, can I keep it? They said, no, it was only given to you as a punishment because someone gave it to the officer, and the officer hasn't even read it. And when he saw that this guy was so interested in the book, he also started reading it. He said, give me my book back. When this guy, who is the commander of chief in drug dealing, before he went into prison, one of his boys was already in prison. And so when he got there, the boy was almost ready to come out. And this boy also met a chaplain. And so far in the Brasilia area, which the territory is called Goiás, has only Adventist chaplains and volunteers going into the prison. And this young man met an Adventist who gave him Bible studies. And as soon as he left prison, he went to do theological studies in Argentina. And when he graduated from prison into theological school and graduated, the first place he was going to preach, his boss, who was supplying him gun to go to the street, had left prison. And because of the Patriarchs and Prophet, someone has directed him to go to the Adventist church because he wanted a copy of that book. And they told him, go to this church. That's their book. So go and find that book from that church. When he went there, the person who stood up to preach was his boy. You see how God works? His boy, who was running for him, is now a preacher. And he stood there and said, no chance. This couldn't be him. And so when he finished preaching, he went and felt him, held him. Is this really you? When did all these things happen? And they started talking. And he says, what brings you here, boss? And to cut the long story short, his boy baptized him that day. And now he says, my boy has become my boss. and I have become his boy. You see how God works? The Spirit works in a different way. And these guys are taking prison ministry on a run in Brazil. He is the ADRA director. He is the prison ministries director. The boss. He is now ADRA director, and he is the prison ministries director, and he's working everyone. The president goes to prison. All the directors, departmentals, got volunteers. Lawyers are volunteering to do this job. They are on fire. And we need to be on fire, brothers. One of the prisons, I said in my sermon, we baptized 29 people in prison. 29. And I was there. I was shaking to see prisoners so sincere and so dedicated, wanting they're desperate for the word of God. There was one old man who's been in prison for over 25 years. He couldn't walk properly. We have to carry him into the pool to baptize him. But he was overjoyed. He was overjoyed for seeing God in action. He was still in prison, but he was so happy. And so we have a job to do, and Wimbledon have a job to do. Before I leave here today, I want to form a team. I'm talking to Elder James here. Elder James is already experienced in prison, so he's going to be in charge of this team, and we're going to train you. And I want Elder Sharon. We have a training convention coming in Hazelwood in May. A minimum of 2 people need to be paid for from this church. If you have more, please help them so they can attend this convention. Now I'm going to tell you our plan for SCC. I can give you testimonies and testimonies from abroad, but I want you to understand what we want to do in SCC. We will give you training, we'll give you support, we'll give you everything that you need to serve. And so you have the SCC mission, our strategic plan. This is a summary of it. Christ in our hearts, Christ in our homes, Christ in our churches, and Christ on our streets. Christ everywhere. And that is what we want to have. We want Christ in our homes. When you have Christ in our homes, it is very unlikely that our children or even some of us will end up in prison. Someone told me something once, and I laughed. He said, do we have Adventists in prison? What do you think? Yes. We have many Adventists in prison. And do you know how, the area of offense Adventists usually find themselves? What area would you think? Sorry? Money? What abuse? Physical abuse? No? Sexual offenses. Sexual offenses. That's the most popular area for Adventist prisoners. You'll be amazed. Majority of our people that are in prison are in there for sexual offenses. You don't find them armed robbery. You don't find them drug. You don't find majority sexual offenses. But then we sit here and we want to protect our churches. Keep the church family safe, don't we? Yeah. And sometimes we think it is those who come in from prison or the ex-offenders are the most dangerous ones. No. We have people here that when the opportunity comes, or you might not even know, they are doing it in there. and you need to open your eyes. If you are able to engage in this ministry, you get more understanding of what is happening. And there are some of our members who are going through this kind of abuses that cannot come out to say it. And what I'm encouraging our members, our young people, do not be quiet. Come out and talk to someone. It doesn't matter. Once that person is found, you are safe. Don't hide it. Otherwise, the abuse will go on and will not stop. You would think you can escape from it, but you can't unless those people pay for what they're doing. So please, don't be quiet. Come out and speak out. Find people you trust and talk to them. And you know, once you are spoken to about these things, whether you are an elder, whether you are a deacon, or whether once you've been approached, don't be quiet. Don't try to solve the problem. Follow the process, the procedure. Call the conference office or speak to your pastor, and your pastor will take it up, and everything will be resolved. And so this is what the conference strategic plan is. Have Christ in our hearts. In your personal lives, make sure Christ is in there. Have Christ in your home. And if I asked those of you here, how would your children, or what kind of Christ do you present in your homes? What kind of Christ do you preach in your home? If we should ask our children or the family members we live with, they may have different views. You may sit here and think you're a Christian, but your Christianity, you have a different face in church and a different face at home. I know some people that if this is their seat in church, and they come and my brother is sitting on there, they will be very brave to tell, that's my seat, you know. Can you find another seat? When did you buy that seat? How much did you pay for it? You might be comfortable sitting there. That doesn't make that seat yours. It doesn't belong to you. And if Christ is in your heart, you will love your brother and sister and not cause them any distress. Let's have Christ. And so this is what we have today. Let's follow what the conference is giving us. Christ in our hearts, Christ in our homes, Christ in our churches, and Christ on our streets. No matter where you find yourself, Christ prevails. And so the mission statement of our prison ministry is the South England Conference SEC Prison Ministry Department aims to be a beacon of hope and restoration for prisoners, their families, and ex-offenders, embodying Christ's mission, compassion, healing, and reintegration. Prison ministry has three major areas. Those in prison, the prisoner's family, and when they are leaving prison, they need to be looked after. Those three areas, you don't have to go to prison. If you feel uncomfortable to go to prison, you can do the ministry here in your church, opening your doors to the church to support those who are coming from prison so you can help them reintegrate in community. I have met some families of people who are in prison who are so ashamed that their churches stigmatize them. that they feel uncomfortable in their own churches because their family member has been arrested or been in prison. And so they have become criminals as well. This is Adventist church. Because my son is in prison, I am now a criminal as well. And so the whole church shuns me and stigmatizes me. Because my husband committed a crime, I have become a criminal as well. And so everyone sees me and they walk away. These people need help. These family members need encouragement. In as much as they're dealing with the trauma of losing family members, they have to deal with the stigma in church. Church that should be looking after them, being compassionate, and help them heal with the loss in their lives. The church is stigmatizing them and alienating them. So through strategic initiatives, we seek to build a network of dedicated volunteers, strengthen ties with families and communities, and equip church to play an active role in prison ministries. This is why I'm here today. We want to develop a team, teams of volunteers who will be involved in this ministry, and these teams will be helped. You get the necessary training. So objectives. Why do we need to do this? Prison Ministry Department will focus on the following: supporting families, as I've mentioned before, through holistic care. And one of the plans is to, at least once a year, meet all families that have their wards in prison and maybe spend a day together with them, take them out, and have some fun activities. There are some families that are, the main breadwinner finds themselves in prison, and the family and the children are struggling financially. This department is willing to help in conjunction with the local churches that we can help those individuals. So we need to register our churches in the Welcome Directory to facilitate the reintegration of released prisoners. This is the second point that I made. Those who are coming out of prison need support. Some of them, you talk to them, they said, I would rather stay in prison. Why? Because everything is provided. Yes, they get weekly allowances, they get food, they get shelter. But when they come out of prison, what do they get? Nothing. They can't work. They can't have accommodation. They struggle to get food. And so some of them feel more comfortable in prison. And so the church should be a place where these people can walk to, and there is my brother here who is saying, I will help you write your CV. I will help you find job out there. I will help you find accommodation. And that sister says, oh, I have a spare room. I will help you until you find your feet. But the church will support me because of your risks. I will make sure the church is backing me up in order not to find myself in trouble. No matter how well you want to do and to support people who are coming from prison, you still have to be careful and make sure you cover yourself very well. And the department, the prison ministry department, is willing to support you and have a safeguarding plan together with your local church to support those who come to your churches. We want to help them. And third, we want to support and visit prisoners, providing pastoral care and spiritual development. We need to help those in prison before even they come out. There are people who have never been visited since they've been in prison because the families do not want to have anything to do with them. And you know which people go into prison to support prisoners? No, Muslims. Muslims are very active. Muslims are very active in visiting people and providing them with support in prison. And they are winning a lot of souls in prison. Muslims. They are much better than Christians. We are very judgmental. And so as a church, we need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, are we actually meeting that mandate? Matthew 25, Christ mentioned it himself in the scriptures. We need to establish hubs for mentoring programs. Wimbledon, you have a large community. Your church can serve as a mentoring hub. You can open your doors once a week and say, we are opening our doors to support prisoners, ex-offenders. Come here, we will help you. We will provide some meal. We will provide training. We will provide help to find job and other things. And sometimes we can even create job in our communities that will enable them to do. You can have something as Wimbledon Church, something that you will make in the community that you can even get funding from the local government for and do it as a ministry where you help people. 1 or 2 people can start. A4 Church is starting one of those mentoring programs now, and I'm supporting them drafting their documentations and everything, and maybe funding. We will be applying for some funding from the local authorities to start that. But they will need volunteers who will be willing and someone who will be dedicated to support this program. When you know where you're going and you know how you're getting there, you need to know, what do I need to get there? So mission objective, offering comprehensive training opportunity for volunteers. That we're going to source whatever you need to get that training, we will help you with. Collaborating with Adventist Discovery Center and His Majesty's Service to promote prisoners' rehabilitation and spiritual growth. So ADC, Adventist Discovery Center, I have agreed with them, I've met with them, we have agreed all materials that we need to use in prison, like booklets and what have you, that will be needed in prison, Adventist Discovery will provide. Bible study programs, correspondent programs. Yours is to go there, help the individuals to start it, and then they will continue with it. So the correspondent programs will be sent to them. They will do the work, and it will be marked by ADC. ADC will send it back to them, and so on and so forth. If they need some books, we can supply those books through ADC. And this is what we are doing at the moment. So this is what we want to do. And some prisons have already started. And this is one thing that can help boost the work. So expanding the ministry by hosting conventions, facilitating international visits, and developing a certified chaplaincy program. So these are some of the things that we need to do. Ministry by hosting conventions. So last year I went to a convention, international convention I attended in Arizona, which gave me the opportunity to meet different people in different countries with prison ministries. We met people from Philippines, we met people from India, we met people from Canada, and then America. And this year I was in Brazil. That is just us and Brazilian group. But this is what we want to do. So if you join the team, maybe every other year we would travel outside the UK to visit prisons in other countries to experience, to kind of develop our experience as well. And we also want to develop a certified program, like basic chaplaincy program that maybe you can do online or Newbold can provide for us, which you can do to enhance your training. I'm still in talking with Newbold in order to get this in place. At the moment, Newbold is offering chaplaincy, but that chaplaincy is a master's level, which is quite intensive. But I want a lower level chaplaincy program that everyone can be involved. You can do it from your own comfort at your home and get certified for it. I'm also talking to Trans-European Division to have a criteria set by the church to be able to work in prison. So once you meet those criteria, the church will certify you as a prison ministry volunteer chaplain, and you can work in prison as well. So this is the first of the point that I mentioned before. We need to support our families that are in prison. To create a support network within the SDA churches to care for emotional, spiritual, and physical needs of our prisoner families because they need the support. I met a woman who told me, she's told everyone, but I met her son in prison. She told everyone that her son has gone to university because she's afraid. Another one says her son is traveled to Jamaica, but I found the son in prison and communicated. And a woman said, well, I can't tell my church because I can't face it. And so we don't create the environment for the families to feel comfortable. We need to let them know that it's not their fault. When someone commits a crime, it's not your fault. It's the individual has to take responsibility for it. So every SCC church will be encouraged to form a support group dedicated to ministering to families, incarcerated individuals. These groups will offer prayers, counseling, financial assistance where necessary, and emotional support. Auntie Sharon, you got that? Okay. So we will be looking at the pastoral team here to start putting someone in charge of prison ministries and forming these teams in our local churches so that our churches will have that support. And this is a continuation of that point. Organize annual Family Day events across the SEC in conjunction with the Family Ministries Department, where families, prisoners can come together for encouragement, workshops, and fellowship. This event will provide an opportunity for families to build community with others going through similar experiences. So this is another thing that this will make the church community much more welcoming, again, to say it is not your fault. Someone committing crime shouldn't be your fault. To ensure churches are prepared to receive released prisoners and support their reintegrating society. I've mentioned this before. One thing I found when I was in Brazil, once the church starts working with a prisoner in prison, the same team will locate the family of that church, of that individual. And you know what that does? By the time that individual in prison sees God, the family are also seeing God, because the church is not only supporting the person in prison spiritually, they are supporting their families. They are supporting their families. If they need clothes, if they need food, the church is there helping the family. And so by the time that person leaves prison, the family is looked after. Where do you think that person will go? He will look for those church members who supported their families. We are not only supporting our family, our church members, whoever we see in prison, let's follow them up and see what is happening to their families. And that relationship brings the family and the prisoner into the same church. This guy who is now the prison ministries director and ADRA director, his parents have become Adventists. Not because they were Christians or they were Adventists. They've become Adventists. Why? Because the church accepted their son, who was a criminal. They gave him a top position, a director position in the conference, in the union office. His own father said to him, "Nah, I won't believe you that you have changed." His father said to him, "I will not believe you that you have changed. I know after a year or two you are going back into prison because this is what you are." That's what his father told him. But after 10 years, his father watched him for how many years? 10 years. And then one day he came to him and said, "Now I believe you've changed. And I know why you have changed. Because of that church. I'm going with you." And I met his parents when we went, and they testified. He said, "I never believed for 1 minute that my son was ever going to change. I thought he was just going to be in prison because that guy was stubborn. He never listened to anyone. And he's using the same energy, the same strategy he was using to deal drugs. He's using the same to reach out to people." And so we have a job to do. Believers, we have a job to do. We need to register our churches on the welcome directory. Because if we register our churches on the welcome directory and people are released from prison, they see the name of the church and the address of the church in prison before they come, knowing that they can get help from the churches. So it's called welcome directory. If your board agrees and you want to register, you just call me and let me know, and I'll put your name on the register. Do you know how many churches we have on the register? How many Adventist churches we have on the register? Did he say? 2. 10? 3? 5? None? We have 2. One in the south, one in the north. Croydon Church and Camp Hill Church in Birmingham. Adventist Church. If you go online and you check the church directory, every 1 mile you go, you find a church that is registered on it. Adventist churches, no, we don't want to do that. Every mile, Anglican church or Catholic church or Baptist church, they are all registered. But what are we doing? We are here discussing Sabbath school and saying big words. Yeah. Yes. Sorry? No. There's a department called the Welcome Directories. It is under Ministry of Justice, but there is a separate department that deals with all the churches. Yeah, so if you let me know, if your board agrees to do this and you have a team to support, and you let me know, I will put you on the register.
But has it been promoted?
What has what been promoting?
Has it, the ministry and the conference they held, has it been promoted?
Well, I'm promoting it now because I am now in office. I was not in office before. Now I'm in office, so I'm promoting it now.
I've never heard of it.
That's why I'm working hard. I still got my churches, but every other week I'm leaving my churches and promoting prison ministry because I find it very important. Yeah? So next week I'm with my church. The following week I'm in London, Lee Valley Church. And that's what I'm doing. My church is starving. My churches are starving, but I think this is very important to do as well. And that's why I'm here. And on Monday, I'm going to Cambridge to meet with a managing chaplain there so that the team in Cambridge can be linked to a prison. So when I form a team here today, I will be connecting you to the nearest prison here. Your church will be responsible. So what I will do is, once I get people who are interested and will register them, it takes a while, but I will be making the effort to create a relationship with the nearest prison here, and then you will be visiting that prison. And you have a lead who and the managing chaplain will arrange with you how often they want to see you. Sometimes once a month, sometimes once every week, once every 2 weeks. And if you are able to register yourself to the prison, some of you would be able to have access to go into that prison as often as you want. We have a prison in Norwich that I recently registered. We have 4 or 5 people who are now on there that can draw keys and go in anytime they want to. We have 4 Adventists in Norwich prison. And so on Sabbath afternoon, they go there to host worship with them. And within the week, they can go there and talk to any of the prisoners on one-to-one based on what they've done. And so these are some of the things that we need to do. I can see some people are showing a lot of interest, and we need to have a team. Wimbledon Church is a big church. We need to have a team and to work here because our church is too quiet. The community needs to know us. So we need to register each church on the welcome directory and make sure that people know us. Not just visiting prisons, but our name on the welcome directory when people are coming out of prison. Recently, I was in my church. A gentleman just walked in there, and he started talking to me about his offenses. And I said, hold on. I need to know you first. I don't need to know your offenses. I need to know you as a person. And he said, Pastor, I can't tell you anything about me without my offenses, because that's what I am. I've been a criminal all my life from teen up to now. He's 42. He said, Pastor, I've killed 4 people. My son is in prison as I speak to you, but I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, come and see me. I gave him an appointment date. It was pouring, heavy rain. I thought this guy is not going to come. Rainy, he's not going to walk in the rain. He called me, said, Pastor, where are you? I can't find the church. I lost my way. I said, are you in the rain? He said, yes. I took myself into the rain and went finding him. We were both soaked when we got back to the church. But I saw the seriousness in his face. He wants to change. There are many people out there who wants to change. They can't do it by themselves. They need someone to guide them. And you are the ones who can help them. You are the one who can help them. And so he's working with a young lady who is comfortable to work with him, and it's going very well so far. He comes to church. The person working with him is black, he's white, but he comes to church, he talks to everyone. And he's not ashamed of telling everyone what his crimes have been. He just talks. And you know this guy is willing, ready to change. So we need to continue to provide spiritual support for people, pastoral care, and hope to prisoners within the prison system. There are people there who hope is basically nothing to them. They feel their life has come to an end. But even we need to let people know that even if they are never going to see the daylight again, there's still hope. There's still hope for them. And so this is our job. You need to be out there in the prison to be able to talk to these people and make them aware that there is something beyond. So we need to establish visitation ministry teams in every church. These teams will regularly visit inmates, as I said before, and conduct Bible studies if need be. Some people don't need to know about Christ immediately. Some people just need you there. Even if you don't say a word, they will tell you what they want. Sometimes I've visited people in prison that I have not had the chance to say one word, and the time is up, and they are taken away. But they had the chance to talk. And that is what they want. And so that's all you might be able to do. When the time is up, they come and collect them, and you arrange another appointment to visit them. And so work in collaboration with Ministry of Justice Service to ensure Adventist chaplains and volunteers have access to prison, develop stronger relationship with prison chaplains to coordinate spiritual support service. What I've decided to do is to invite some of our chaplains who find it difficult to allow access to Adventist volunteers into our training convention in May. So you have Welcome Directory, the manager for Welcome Directory is coming to our convention in May. She's not Adventist. We have free churches. Adventists, we fall under free churches. And many a times, though that manager makes life difficult for us to have access to prison. I have spoken to him, I'm meeting up with him, and he's coming to the convention in May. I have another prison from Norwich, the managing chaplain there, he's coming to give a workshop. And so I'm doing all these things to collaborate, to develop a relationship with these people so we don't have a problem. When the chaplains, the national chaplaincy team meet, I sit there as well. No Adventist minister has been part of that meeting because they make decisions for us. And because we are not there, they decide what they decide. But I'm sitting there now, and I hear what they say, and I argue, and I fight for our corner in that meeting. It's the whole UK chaplaincy team. They have meetings regularly. And so this is what I want Adventists on the radar as well, so people will get to know us. And that makes life easier for us. And eventually some of you who may have the experience in prison ministries in the future, for instance, if you retire, you want to retire from your job and become a managing chaplain in prison, you can apply and become a managing chaplain in prison. At the moment, we don't have one Adventist chaplain. We have volunteer chaplains, but we don't have one managing chaplain. We have a lot of Muslim managing chaplains. We have a lot of Anglican, Baptist, Catholic managing chaplains, but not Adventist. Even Pentecostal chaplains, but not single one Adventist chaplain. And so this is why I want us to have this convention this year, so that all the volunteers can come together and we will learn and also get to know each other and support each other whenever that needed. So I'm developing a Bible study program, as I said before, with ADC, and this will go a long way to help. Sorry, were you taking a picture? I will leave the presentation with Auntie Sharon so you can have the whole presentation, yeah? I want the church to know everything. If you want to go back and read it over, that's fine. And so I am doing everything to equip and support. Whether you want materials to read or anything, please drop an email to the office or to myself, and I will respond in due course. Just bear in mind, you might not get it straight away. I still have 2 churches to manage, and that office as well. I'm telling my president to take the 2 churches off me, but it's you can tell. So my plan is to offer regular training from the 1st of April. I'm running an online listening course, which will be provided by Cornerstone. So if you are interested to learn to listen, please join us. I'll send the Zoom link to Elder James and Elder Sharon, so those of you who want to join in can join in. And those, by the end of the day, those of you who would want to be part of the prison ministries, we will create a WhatsApp platform for you, and also we have SCC WhatsApp platform for prison ministries that join in as well, so you know what is going on. So certification program, those who will come to the convention, we have some workshops that we will provide certificates for you to confirm that you have taken those courses. Those courses are important, and those certificates can help you develop in your own progression. So it is very important. Like I said before, I'm working with TED, Trans-European Division, to be like we have in the North American Division. For you to become a chaplain, you have to be accredited by the NAD, and I want to bring that to TED here, that you will be accredited by the church. I'm working with the Free Church manager as well to give us the criteria that they need in the UK for someone to become a chaplain, so we can work along that line to provide the training that is needed. So ongoing education need to be provided, seminars and webinars and conferences to ensure volunteers stay informed, best practice and new development in prison. New development in prison will be updating you. So I've told you about ADC, I won't repeat that, and Bible correspondence courses. I will give you time to ask questions that you may have. I think some of you needs a break from all the theory, and let's come back to practice. What questions do you have in prison ministries? This convention that I mentioned is here. Again, I will send the registration form link to the Sharon and Elder James to put on the church platform. This presentation you're going to have, and so questions. Anyone has a question to ask? Yes?
Are you in female churches, or is it just male churches?
Sorry?
Are you in female prisons? Sorry, yes. Sorry, female prisons as well as male?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we visit whatever prison that is nearer to us. If it's a female prison that is nearer to you, they will give you the criteria. I will first meet the managing chaplain, and we will give what is required to be in that prison.
Some prisoners have mental health challenges, and especially autistic young adults. Would this program be linked with mental health and the forensic care?
I have a mental health practitioner background. I am a CBT practitioner as well. I don't practice now, but we have people in our team that are mental health trained. We will also work with the health department. Our health director is mental health trained as well. So we have resources, and I did a presentation last month on mental health to the volunteers on our platform. So when required, we will provide the necessary training for you as you need be. So you can have that access, and the church can also provide the mental health first aid, which is also very important for everyone to have. Yes, sir.
What do you need? How to build a team in the church to start doing the work? I would like to know how to start it.
Okay. So today, I'm starting the team today before I leave. So by the time we finish this presentation, I would like to know all those who would want to be part of the team to join me here. We will talk, and then I will tell you what the responsibilities and the requirements are. You don't need to attend whenever it is, but if you are part of the team leader will ask, today we are going to prison, are you available? And those who are available will be prepared, because every time you go, your details need to be sent to the prison well in advance. And if you are ready, if you are available, you just give your availability to the leader or the leaders. And so that's how it works. Yeah. By the time, before you start going, there is a screening process. You all have to go through, every member has to go through that with your passport or driver's license. They will go through your background check to make sure you have no crime. If you have a criminal past, they will ask questions, and they may not want you to visit prison. But you can still do some work in the church, those who are out of prison. Because sometimes people who have criminal past going back to prison reinforces those in the prison. They kind of communicate. They know how to communicate. I remember going to a place with a couple of, some people. We were only there for a few hours. How these people knew that there were people who are involved in similar crimes in the area was amazing to me, was a mystery to me. Before, when we were about to leave, we couldn't find these two people. Looking for them only to find out that these two people have met with some people in that area that are also involved in similar crimes. I don't know how they connected. I don't know how it worked. It's a mystery up to today. And so the prison system may be very concerned if you have a criminal past. Yes, ma'am.
I want to know what the after checks are, like what sort of security measures would we take as a church if we have like ex-prisoners here?
This question always comes everywhere I go. You already have people in the church that are criminal. You just don't know them. And that's why you should always have security in place in your church. It doesn't have to be there for the prisoners, ex-prisoners only. You always have to have the security system in place, no matter what. Yeah? Don't wait until a prisoner comes into church before you put security measures in place. I hope you are getting me. Yes. For all have sinned and come short of the glory. Sometimes it's just opportunity that people don't have. When they get the opportunity, you all have the potential of committing crimes. You know that, don't you? So let's put the measures in place. Some people find themselves in prison not because they are criminals, because they found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some people find themselves in the prison not because they are criminals, but because they have been accused wrongly. And so we shouldn't generalize that everyone coming from prison is a criminal. Sometimes, and that is why I'm saying, sometimes you may have someone who is more criminal in here than the one coming up from prison. So we need to put security measures in place at all times. At all times. Don't relax it. So when the prisoner comes, it doesn't make any difference. You already have the system in place.
Just a simple question. Would the SCC subsidize the cost of this convention?
It has been subsidized. It has been subsidized already. It's starting from Wednesday to Sunday, including food and everything. If you want a single room, it's $350. If you're sharing, it's $280. I have subsidized it. I'm still trying to get some money from TED to subsidize it. But you will not come back regretting, because what you're going to get there is going to be worth it. So please come. I am encouraging every church to support their members. So even if the church is going to pay for half of the cost for individuals, we are encouraging every church to do so. Yeah. So if you give your names to your church leaders, they will subsidize for you. They'll bring it down if you want to attend. Yes, sir.
Is there a lot of training, seminar to attend, things like that?
There's going to be a lot of seminars.
Oh dear.
That's why you're there. But you're going to have free time as well to talk and to have you been to Hazewood? You've never been to Hazewood. Hazewood is an environment that when you go, you will love to go back.
Yeah, it's just all these things, those meetings. Sometimes it's off-putting when you have a lot of meetings after meetings. I don't know.
Yeah. Workshop, you don't have to attend the workshop. You don't have to attend all of them. We'll display the topics. So you choose the topics that interest you to attend. You don't have to attend. That's why there are workshops. Yeah. It's not meeting that everyone requires to attend. It's workshops. So you choose which one you think is interesting to you.
Pastor, I want to find out, why has it taken so long to have such an important wing in the church? And if we are to start, what measures are you going to put in place so that the team that is picked today is trained at the earliest possible time so that we go into this? Because at local churches like here, we have a program of visiting nursing home. I've never heard of prison. It's today I'm getting this. Yet it is very, very important. We have boxes of literature behind which need to be distributed of great controversy. Why has it taken so long to come to this end?
Okay. It's taking this long is because nobody has informed your church. You have someone here who's been doing this since 2001. He's aware. The conference has not, this is what I said from the beginning, the conference has not laid emphasis on this ministry. And so they put people in office with other responsibilities. So if you are not dedicated, you will not, like me, I could focus my attention on my churches and just write news into newsletter every week. I've been writing in the newsletter. You haven't read it because it's not an area that has occurred to you, so your eye will not even see it. I've posted this convention in our SEC newsletter for several weeks now. You haven't seen it because it's not something that you're thinking about. So that's how it works. Your interest or your eye will pick up something that you know, or something that you are interested in, or something that is registered in there. You see prison ministry, just scroll it over. It's not something you're thinking about. But the second part of your question is, how soon can your team be trained? My interest is, how soon is the team willing to work? We can provide training, as much training as possible, but you have to practice. And so once we have a team, I need to make sure I contact the prison near to you and create the opportunity to get in there. Sometimes it is not easy to get in there, depending on the managing chaplain. The managing chaplains we are having difficulties with are the Anglicans and the Catholic chaplains. If it happens that your managing chaplain in the nearest prison is a Muslim, I don't have a problem. You see the irony? The Muslim chaplains are very, very easy to convince that we are Christian, we want to come in. They don't have a problem. It's our fellow Christian group that gives us a problem. So we need to work, we need to pray. And that is the first thing that I give every team. Once we form a team, that team needs to come together to pray. You need to pray, preparing yourself, allowing the Holy Spirit to use you and to prepare the grounds for you. And that's the first key. And then, whilst you're praying for the opening and praying for me, so that when I get the opening, I can meet with that chaplain And when I meet with that chaplain and we have access, then I will introduce your leader to the chaplaincy team, and then everyone will be registering. The registration, the screening takes about, sometimes it can take 3 months before it comes through. Once you are through and you have screened, then you are free to go. So from now, if we form a team, it might take about 4 or 5 months before you start operating. Yeah. It's not a system that goes like, I want to start tomorrow, and then it starts. You have to go through the screening, and that is out of my control. And whilst we are waiting for the screening, we can be training as much as we can. Yeah? Yes, ma'am. I'll come to you.
Pastor, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that earlier the churches will be linked to the nearest prison to them. How do you look at the confidentiality issue around that? Say, for instance, I go to a prison which is local to my church, and the possibility of seeing somebody there that I know, a neighbor, or how does that work?
Yeah, prisons usually don't place people in their local areas. Yeah, so if you're from Croydon, if you're from Wimbledon, it's unlikely you'll be placed in a prison here. It doesn't usually work. They might place you in Isle of Wight or somewhere up north. The whole country, so you have a trip to, it depends, and it depends on your crime as well. I think, is it on the same topic? Yeah.
Yes, on that point, if you visit a prison and you recognize some person that is in that prison that you know, it is your responsibility to notify the chaplain, and then they will make decision how it will happen from there.
And that's very important as well. Either your leader or the chaplain, the managing chaplain, this person is known to you, especially if they are related.
So this question is based on what you were saying about the abuse, because this week I came across a video. It was a Channel 4 documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, but there was in England, Adventist leader in the church who was abusing kids, and the leaders in the church protected him for years, and it didn't even come out until after he died. From what you know, is the church still protecting these kind of sexual predators?
Not at all. This is why I said to you, I said in earlier my presentation that don't keep quiet. I wouldn't say the church leadership protected this person. That's how they present it. But people didn't come forward. When the matter came up, the people who needed to come forward to report it did not come forward until the man died before they came forward. So they waited until the person had died. This has gone on for many years, over 20 years. This is why I again said this was on the local church level. So this person, as you may know, was a very well-respected person in the church who was like a lay evangelist. He did not only abuse people in the UK, he abused people in the Caribbean, he abused people in Africa, and I have a victim in my church. This person came